if you're hard on yourself, if you replay old mistakes, if you hold your past against yourself long after everyone else has moved on, this episode is for you. You deserve forgiveness too. Hi, I'm Kai. Welcome to episode 8 of Healing and Emotional Recovery. One of the heaviest emotional burdens we can ever carry is the weight we put on ourselves. Across America, in Seattle kitchens at midnight, in Chicago living rooms during quiet evenings, in New York City apartments after long days, and during slow Austin mornings, people are silently punishing themselves for mistakes they made years or even decades ago. Not because they're really bad people, but because they're human and they care deeply. Today, we're going to talk about self-forgiveness, what it truly means, why it can feel so impossible, and how to finally start healing from the inside out. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? You can forgive a friend for a misstep. You can offer compassion to a family member who messes up. But when it comes to yourself, that feels entirely different. There are real, tangible reasons why self-forgiveness is so incredibly hard. First, you hold yourself to a higher standard. You tell yourself, I should have known better. But the truth is, you didn't know better then, and that's okay. We act with the knowledge and emotional tools we have at the time. Second, you confuse guilt with accountability. You think that punishing yourself, replaying the shame over and over, is what makes you a responsible person. But constant self-punishment doesn't make you more accountable. It just keeps you stuck in pain. Third, you might believe that self-forgiveness lets you off the hook. You worry that if you forgive yourself, you're excusing the behavior or pretending it didn't happen. But true forgiveness isn't about erasing the past. It's about growing from it. It's about acknowledging the impact without letting it define your entire future. Fourth, you replay the past, hoping you can somehow change it. It's like watching the same movie scene on a loop, wishing for a different ending. You can't change what happened, but you can absolutely change how you relate to it in the present. And finally, you're afraid to trust yourself again. The mistake might have shaken your confidence so deeply that you believe punishing yourself is the only way to prevent it from happening again. But it's healing that builds self-trust, not punishment. You're not being dramatic for feeling this way. You're being human. I remember one evening in New York City, I was walking along the Hudson River as the sun set, casting this incredible orange glow over the water, but I wasn't seeing any of it. My mind was miles away, trapped in a loop, thinking about a past decision I just couldn't forgive myself for. I had apologized to the people involved. I had learned from it. I had genuinely changed my behavior. But inside, this cold, heavy stone of guilt just stayed. I felt like I was sentenced to carry it forever. Then, a simple sentence floated into my mind, clear as a bell. If someone you loved made this exact same mistake, would you punish them forever? And the answer was immediate and absolute. No. Of course not. I would offer them compassion. I'd remind them of their growth. I'd tell them they deserve peace. So why was I refusing to give that same grace to myself? That single question cracked something open in me. It changed everything. It's so important to understand what self-forgiveness actually is and what it isn't. Self-forgiveness is not excusing harmful behavior. It's not pretending it didn't happen or denying accountability, and it's definitely not about ignoring the lesson you were meant to learn. On the other hand, self-forgiveness is releasing the need for self-punishment. It is choosing to offer yourself compassion. It is honoring your growth and understanding the context of your past actions. It's about allowing yourself to evolve. At its core, forgiving yourself is simply treating your past self like someone you love. I have to dig a little deeper and understand the roots of our self-blame. The first root is often perfectionism, this unspoken expectation that you should navigate life without ever making a mistake. It's an impossible standard that sets you up for failure and shame. The second root is shame itself. This is the toxic belief that the mistake you made says something fundamental and unchangeable about who you are as a person. It's the difference between I did something bad and I am bad. The third root is loneliness. You feel like you must carry this burden all by yourself, that no one could possibly understand, which isolates you even further in your guilt. And the fourth root is old emotional patterns. Maybe you learned in childhood to blame yourself to keep the peace or to earn love. These patterns can run so deep that self-blame becomes your default setting. Healing means gently loosening these roots, one by one. So, how do we begin? I want to offer you a gentle path inward, a self-forgiveness framework. Step 1. Acknowledge the mistake without attacking yourself. Instead of saying, "I'm so stupid," try saying, "I made a mistake, but I am still worthy of love and respect." See the difference? One is an attack on your character. The other is an observation of your action. Step 2. Look at the version of you who made that choice. Ask with genuine curiosity. What was I feeling back then? What did I know at that time? What pain or pressure was I under? Context is the birthplace of compassion. Step 3. Separate the lesson from the guilt. The lesson is the wisdom you carry forward. The guilt is the heavy baggage you don't need to keep carrying. The lesson serves you. The guilt drains you. Step 4. Speak to your past self like you would a dear friend. Try saying things like, "You did the best you could with what you had. You learned so much from this. You don't need to punish yourself to prove that you care." This kind of self-talk actively rewires the neural pathways of shame. Step 5. Offer yourself emotional repair. Punishment is about pain. Repair is about growth. Repair might look like setting a new boundary, making a healthier choice, or simply giving yourself patience as you heal. And finally, step 6. Give yourself permission to move forward. Say it out loud. I am allowed to grow. I am allowed to heal. I am allowed to forgive myself. Your permission is the key that unlocks the door. I had another powerful moment a few years later. It was a rainy morning in Seattle. I was sitting in a small cafe, cradling a warm mug, watching the drops race down the window pane. My mind drifted back to that same past decision, the one I used to judge myself for so harshly. But this time something was different. Instead of that familiar pang of guilt, I felt a quiet wave of gratitude, not for the mistake itself, but for how much it had forced me to grow. For the wisdom it gave me, for the clarity it brought to my values, for the empathy it taught me. That's what self-forgiveness feels like. It's the moment your pain begins to transform into wisdom instead of just remaining punishment. So, how do you know if it's working? Forgiveness often shows up quietly before it shows up fully. You might notice your chest feels a little lighter. You start speaking to yourself more kindly. You don't judge yourself as harshly for small, everyday errors. The memory of your past mistake feels softer, less charged. You realize you're no longer replaying the moment constantly. You start to trust your own judgment again. And, most beautifully, you allow yourself to feel joy without a lingering sense of guilt. If there's one thing I want you to hear today, it's this. You are not your mistake. You are not your worst moment. You are not the version of you who acted without the wisdom and perspective you have now. You have grown. You have learned. You have changed. And you deserve to live in the present, free from the prison of your past. If you can find it in your heart to forgive others, you can and you must find it in your heart to forgive yourself. You deserve peace. You deserve compassion. You deserve a new chapter. Let yourself step into it. For your action challenge today, I invite you to choose just one small, gentle step. Write one kind sentence to your past self. Acknowledge one mistake without attacking your character. Consciously release one piece of guilt you've been carrying. Practice one moment of genuine self-compassion, or simply breathe deeply and whisper to yourself, I forgive you. Remind yourself that your growth is proof of your healing. Forgiveness begins with a single act of softness. If this episode helped you breathe a little easier, please consider sharing it with someone you know who's been hard on themselves, too. And if you're ready to continue your healing journey with gentleness, clarity, and emotional courage, subscribe to our channel. This was episode 8 of Healing and Emotional Recovery. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and walk with me, Kai, as we keep healing from the inside out. Remember, you deserve the same forgiveness you give so freely to others. Thank you for being here.